What's up, guys? Good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. I really did not want to do this, but I have an obligation to do it for you guys, and we've got. I'm not gonna even say it. It's not an important game tomorrow. Well, it is. Of course, it is. Every game is important. Mathematically, we're still in the race, but you get the point. I said it yesterday. I've got no motivation left from this season. I've got nothing else to claim from this season. And immediately after Thursday's game, I'm like, why are we even doing this? Why are we even playing this game? Which, by the way, I'm going to introduce it now. Not an easy game. Not an easy game at all. Lecce need points. Cremonese won today in Parma. We are absolutely knackered. Like, that's something that we've repeated so many times, but we are absolutely knackered. I would not be surprised one bit if we don't win tomorrow. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Then we've got a break. Also, can I say something? I don't think I've waited this long to enjoy an international break. I don't know since when. This international break is absolutely crucial for us Italians. Everyone will know the reasons behind that. But yeah, I'm actually looking quite forward to this international break. Also because I think, look, these players need to just resettle. They need to resettle because this last month has been hanged our season. So I'm actually quite glad that an international break is coming and approaching us because we will definitely take good care of it. But yeah, I mean, what do you want me to say? I'll speak about the game in a sec. I just want to, in a way, prolong what I was saying yesterday. I spent some time today reading some comments, which maybe is not sustainable to do after a game because you know how toxic social media is, and you know how toxic the Roma fan base is. So maybe it wasn't even a good thing for me to open Twitter, open social media, listen to some radios, read for some articles to just understand what people think about this situation, because it's very important to understand what the general flow and the general air around Roma is at the moment. And look, I'll be very honest with you. What I read today makes me have goosebumps, but in a bad way. Like, I'm reading all sorts of things against the manager. This is Rome. This is Rome. This is why Rome and Roma have won shit in their life. This is it. This is the exact reason. And I'm saying Rome also because Lazio live in the same situation. This is a complicated city. I said it, probably one of the first things I said to you guys when I opened this YouTube channel. Winning things in this city is impossible. Winning things in this city is impossible. You're either somebody that breaks the trend, or the trend is that you don't win anything, because it's impossible. It's impossible to have consistency in this city on both the yellow and red side of the river Tiber and the blue and white one. Because people change their opinion every 3 days, because people say things to destabilize the environment after we lost a game. And look, we said it. I spoke for 40 minutes yesterday saying how the manager, in my opinion, crucified our game on Thursday, and his decisions and his choices and his willingness to play in a certain way in these games. But what I'm reading today implants a very big fear in my mind, and you know what that fear is. You know that fear very, very well. I'm so scared that we're gonna sack this manager this summer. I'm so scared that it's going to happen, because what I'm reading today, and again, if you win tomorrow, things are going to change again. If you win tomorrow, people will go, oh, Roma's back. And then you lose after the break against Inter at San Siro, and you go, oh, Roma's not back. I read people are saying that Ranieri and Gasperini are no longer following the same path. I read articles saying that Ranieri is not happy with Gasperini. I'm reading articles of Gasperini starting fights at Trigoria against the board. I'm hearing broadcasts saying that Gasperini fell out with the team. My big fear is that we're gonna sack another manager. I'm so scared that this is gonna happen. And honestly, if we do sack this manager this summer, I officially give up. I officially give up because we're not gonna go anywhere. We're not gonna go anywhere. We're in the same swing every season. We start very well. We progress very badly. Not happy, sack the manager, sack the director of football, sack everybody. Appoint a new manager. Don't give him time. Don't buy him players. Expect him to achieve the objectives without a good squad. Because, another thing that I've read is you can't blame the owners because the owners spent, €1 billion for this football club. I'm going to say this for probably the 100th time on this YouTube channel. It's not how much you spend, it's how you spend that money. Okay? I can spend as much money as I want on dog shit and say, oh, I've spent £1 billion, €1 billion, $1 billion. But if you don't spend properly, this boasty thing that you go, I've spent money, gets nullified, if you get my point. We have this board, this ownership hasn't spent good money. It has never spent good money apart from what? Maybe things that I can list on one hand. The good money that this ownership has spent in almost 5 years that they're here, maybe even more, is appointing Mourinho, signing Dybala, but just in those first 2 years, Malen, Wesley, and who else? Like, the problem is not the manager. I'm so tired of this. The problem is not the manager. The problem is not the manager. I'll say it again, just so that people are clear. The manager has responsibilities, but the manager this season has too many alibis that play in his favor, that can't make you go sack the manager. Also, to all those articles that say Gasperini and Ranieri fell out, wasn't Ranieri the first one to ever tell us that this was a construction year? Like, wasn't Ranieri the first person, way before the Gasperini official rumors came about, to say, next season you have to be patient? So, either Gasperini has threatened Ranieri's wife, or why would Gasperini and Ranieri fall out? If weeks ago Ranieri was the one that was saying, let's not over expect because it's a construction year. So you can think whatever you want. I am in no means, I've got no power to make you think what I think, and I don't even want to do that. Football is good because of this, but you can't keep changing manager. You need to start changing the players. You cannot start changing the manager. I will say it again on his defense. Look at the players that he has tomorrow available / sat on the bench. Like, this year has been a disaster in terms of projection and in terms of construction. This year has been a disaster because if you give this manager a player, Ferguson, who was coming from 2 broken ACLs and 1 goal in the last solar year before you signed him, it's not good enough. If you sign Bailey and put him next to Dybala when both of these two players are extremely injury prone, that's your fault. That's your fault. If you spend 25 million, I've got nothing against Vaz. I think Vaz on Thursday was one of the best. At least he tried. He put that spirit. But it's the signing that doesn't make sense. You know, these are not Gasperinian signings. The signings that Gasperini wanted are Malin and or Wesley. The rest, the manager needs to, at a certain point, when you understand that the board can't get who you want, you will eventually, go, fine, get me him. Because one is better than zero, right? That's life. That's life. If you don't, in order to improve your squad depth, if you understand that the board doesn't sign the players that you ask for, at a certain point, you'll say yes to the players that they offer you, even though they're not your picks. And that's exactly what happened with Zaragoza. That's exactly what happened with El Anawi. That's exactly what happened with Vaz. These are not players that Gasperini sat down and went, I want him. These are all players that Massara went, we can't get your plan A, this is my plan B. And due to the fact that our timings were so restricted in January and in the summer, in order to not have zero players in your squad depth, the manager will eventually fall in your demands and go, fine, but get me him. I'll try and do something. But it's deeper than the manager. It is deeper than the manager. It is. That's the truth. It is. We've changed 8 managers over the past, 10 years, and we've never improved. We have never improved. We haven't won shit, apart from with Jose, and we've never improved. We always get in the same situation. So when are we going to start realizing that maybe we need to start changing things and the way we do things and carry things out? Anyways, we've got a game tomorrow. What can I say about the game? Honestly, I don't even want to speak about tomorrow's game, because I think there's nothing to say about tomorrow's game that hasn't been repeated 20 times this season. The team is the team that you have. Kone out for a month. Also, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to open a little Kone parenthesis because I think it has to be said. And I don't want to be reactionary. I don't want this opinion to be a reactionary opinion coming from the last few games. I think Kone this season hasn't made that jump that everyone was expecting him to do. And I think this season, he's definitely been more injury prone. I'll be very honest with you, 60 million this summer and I'll ship him. There are no more alibi left. I am exhausted. I cannot express to you people how much resentment I felt when clicking that live button today. I am exhausted. So if you get Champions League football, which you won't get, if you don't get Champions League football, he'll go either way because you'll need to sell players. But I will be very honest with you, I expected way more from Kone this season. And he's been so injured over the past 3 months. So I love him. I love the guy. I think he's played great last season. He's played some good games this season, but he's another player who is never there. Whether it's a performance or whether it's an injury, when it matters the most. So I will be very honest with you. As I confirmed yesterday, I'm not going back. There are like 5 players that I would keep in this team. The rest can go. There are no players that I will stop from selling because something needs to change. And in order for this thing to change, maybe we need to let go of some of these names, recycle that money and respend that money and how the manager wants. I'm with that idea. Little speech on Lecce. Lecce need points. Lecce might not be technically amazing. In fact, I think technically Lecce are probably the worst team in the league. They've got an incredibly lackluster team, but they need points and they all rested up. And last weekend they put a great fight in Naples against Napoli. Cremonese won today. That means the Lecce are back down in their three relegated teams. Lecce need points. Now, again, I think after what happened from the 1st of March to the 21st of March, you can't pick us as favourites in any game. You really can't. You just cannot. If you bet, I bet sometimes, but if you're somebody who likes betting, never in a million years bet on Roma tomorrow. Never in a million years do it. We can end up winning, of course, because it's at home against Lecce, and we'll probably like scrap it. But oh my god, you want to lose money. Like you want to lose money. You want to lose money. I would never bet in our favor tomorrow. I really wouldn't. That doesn't mean that we won't win. I think we'll win, but just don't take the risk. Just don't take the unnecessary risk. This is not a team that you bet on in this moment of the season. They are dead. They've got no motivation left. They know themselves that they won't get Champions League football, which means that they don't have motivation. They're playing against a team that, oh my god, will be the devil's best friend tomorrow. Their big team that they're fighting against to not get relegated won today after 3 months of no winning drought. And the players are going to be knackered. So yeah, I mean, that's my tip, but you do whatever you want. Predict 11 is that. I think I expect some changes. Again, I was contemplating whether maybe now that we've got no motivation left, maybe it's time to start something new. Start it now while we can. Which is why I put two new things. I put Mancini on the bench because I think Mancini needs to be sat on the bench at the moment. He has costed us so many games in the last 5, and he's had an incredible decline from mid-January to now. Ever since he got sent off in Athens against Panathinaikos, I think Mancini has not been the same. Stick him in the bench. Also to give him a message. Put Zorkowski in, Ndika Gilardi. Wesley is suspended. So Wrench, Pisilli, Kone's injured, Cristante, Celik, and then up front, that's all you have, unless we want to put Zaragoza. Do we want to put Zaragoza? I don't want to put Zaragoza. So that will be the 3 up front. Vaz deserves a shout. Fought a good 30 minutes against Bologna on Thursday. Malen and then Pellegrini. And that's it. That's who you have. So there really aren't many other scenarios that will happen. We need to treat this end of the season well. We all agree on this, but it will be very hard to do so because in sports motivation is everything. It's everything in sports, just like in life. Motivation is absolutely everything, and I mean, you know it yourself. Imagine playing a game with your team, with your friends, without motivation. You don't play well. That's a fact. You know, if you are playing a football game and 1 hour before the kickoff of the football game, you failed every possible exam at school, you're not going to play a good game. If 1 hour before kickoff you break up with your girlfriend, you're not going to play a good game. Because motivation in sports is everything, and these players are no longer motivated, and us fans, honestly, are no longer motivated. So yes, you know, I'm not going to say it's impossible for you to get top 4. No, it's not impossible. You're 3 points behind them, 4 points behind them. But it's not going to happen. And the players know that it's not going to happen, which is why deep down, motivation will be zero. You've got nothing else to hook yourself on this season. So it's like, what are we even playing for? But that's your fault. And that's what the players don't understand. That this no motivation left is because of you. Is because of yourself. It's because you well, maybe not you, but I think that to understand where the problems are at this football, just to sum it up, because we've spoken about problems yesterday for 40 minutes, today for 30 minutes. What's the big problem? I think there were so many little problems, okay? There are a lot of tiny problems that you put together. I think there's a very big saying in Italy that goes il pesce puzza sempre dalla testa. I think this saying is also valid in English. The fish always stinks from its head. The problems, all the minor problems, derive from the top. The problem is a structural problem, and then it pens down in a sense that the problem is at the top. The problem is at the top, and then it makes itself down. It makes its way down, and that's where you find other problems. But the fish always stinks from its head. And that, I think, is valid to say in this scenario as well. It is, because this team this season has been constructed for a disaster. It has been constructed without competence. Without competence. And that's not the manager's fault. Then the problems, the blame, yes, there are the little ones that he made mistakes, that player made mistakes, these players need to be changed, yes. But these problems have a base, they have an origin, and that origin is at the head of the fish. It's a structural problem. It's a problem of no competence, because you constructed a team made of dog shit. You continue to extend contracts of players that had to leave the second we got robbed in that Budapest game. You're continuing to overpay players that spend 80% of their season at the hospital. That's your fault. That is your fault. That's because you're not competent enough. And these are the results. These have been the results for the last 5 years. So, this is how I'll end it. The problem is at the top. The problem is at the top. I can't see us again in the Conference League. Sorry, I'm exhausted. No, yeah, of course. But look, you want to know my take. It's crazy for me to say this because, you know me, the circle hasn't been closed. The circle has to be closed one day of winning that Europa League. But if you're not going to spend money, this is something very clear that I'll say now. If this board won't spend good money, if this board won't back the manager this summer properly and repeat what they did this year, you might as well not qualify for Europa League and might as well play a season with only one game a week. Because you cannot compete on multiple fronts if you don't invest money, if you don't spend for players. And that's something that we've learned 5 years ago. So if you don't want to spend money, if you don't want to back the manager, fine, but then let's get out of everything. Let's get out of everything. Unless it's the Champions League. I want to win that trophy. Before I die, God, wherever you are, before I die, I need to see this team lift that trophy. That's a promise I made to myself. That's a promise I made to everyone, to you guys. That's something that eventually will have to be closed for our sanity. Okay? That will be a circle that has to be closed. But if you're not going to spend, if you're not going to back the manager, I would rather play less, implement Gasperini training sessions on a more regular basis, have more time to learn his tactics, give him more time, than just waste another season in Europe. Because we are wasting years in Europe. Since Jose left, we have wasted years in Europe when we could have easily not played in Europe and would have probably finished with better things. If you want to play in the Europa League next season and try and win it, you need to spend and you need to create a team with 15, 16, 17, 18 starting players and sack everyone else. I'm going to end it there. I'm exhausted. I've had enough. Forza Roma sempre. I'll speak to you soon. Simo out.